Hello cricket fans, Test cricket is back. The fourth test between England and India in the Anderson Tendulkar Trophy gets underway on Wednesday up at Old Trafford. The current series scoreline, if you don't know, England are currently 2-1 up, having won at both Headingley and then Lords. India winning the second test at Edgbaston, and we move to Old Trafford for the fourth, and the fifth will be at the Oval. I think probably the most important thing to look for, other than subscribing to this channel and dropping me a like on the video, is probably the weather forecast. Well, because firstly it's in Manchester and it always rains in Manchester, and secondly the weather forecast for this week in the UK, well, it doesn't look great, does it? So cue the comments of, well, we should never play cricket in England because it rains all the time. But that's what we're going to be in for this week. It's going to be a bit soggy, I think, in Manchester. So maybe the toss is important. Maybe it isn't going to turn as much as what we presume it might do at Old Trafford. Who knows how they're going to line up? Well, we know how England are going to line up. I'm going to get to that in just a minute. India at Old Trafford, well, they've never won there. They last played in 2014. They lost by an innings and 54 runs, and across the two innings, their first and second innings, well, they totaled 152 all out and then 161 all out. So not the happiest of hunting grounds for India in Manchester in recent history. And England, well, it's a bit of a fortress for them, really. They've lost once in the last 20 years. That was against Australia in 2019. They have lost more than that across the course of the history, but in the last 20 years of Test cricket at Old Trafford, England have lost only once. Pretty good, isn't it? Right, let's start with India and let's have a look and see what options they might have, who they might pick, who's coming into the 11, who's going out of the 11, what's happening with that squad, are there injury concerns, who's fit, who isn't fit. Let's have a look into India and see what's going on. Mohammad Siraj, he came out in the press. I don't know whether he was meant to or not. The availability and fitness of Jasprit Bumrah seems to be like a bit of a wild secret, doesn't it, really, with regards to management and who can play and who can't play and things like that. But Mohammad Siraj has confirmed that Jasprit Bumrah will play the fourth test at Manchester, and it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? They're 2-1 down in the series. They have to win at Manchester to keep this alive, and they have to play their best cricketer, which is Jasprit Bumrah. The others have been fantastic, but Bumrah is the best cricketer in India right now, arguably the best seam bowler in Test cricket at the moment, so he has to play. My thought and my kind of question about it is obviously, before the series started, Gautam Gambhir, the head of the BCCI team, or whatever his official title is at the moment, said that Bumrah was only going to play 3 of the test matches. He played the first one, they lost. He played the third one, they lost. And now he's going to go and play the fourth. Now, the results are kind of irrelevant, but obviously they have to win at Old Trafford in order to level this series at 2-2, to take it to the Oval for the fifth test, for a bit of a shootout in the nation's capital, to see who may win that series 3-2, of course, if it could be a draw. But if you look at that, Bumrah's only going to play 3 test matches. So does that mean India are going to go into the fifth test match at the Oval, say they win at Old Trafford 2-2 to win the Anderson Tendulkar Trophy, and Jasprit Bumrah's not going to play? Is that really how India are going to manage that workload and how they're going to sort out their talisman and their star? Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, that. But according to what Gambhir had said, Bumrah's done after this test match. But we'll see. Rishabh Pant, he was injured at Lords. Dhruv Jurel came in and took the gloves as a sub fielder. But he has been seen keeping and training at Manchester with the gloves on. So hopefully that's good news for India. Hopefully allows them to balance the side that they want to play. They don't have to play Rishabh as an out-and-out batter and then play Dhruv Jurel as a keeper. I don't necessarily think that would be a terrible idea. To be fair, Dhruv Jurel very, very tidy with the gloves and very good with the bat, but it just allows them that little bit of extra flexibility. They have got a few other injury worries though. Akashdeep, Arshdeep Singh are both concerns. Nitesh Reddy Kumar, he's already pulled out of the series. He's done, he's cooked. He's not going to play in the fourth or the fifth test. They have added somebody to the squad though. They've added their seam bowler Anshul Kamboj, who was part of India A, that A squad in those 2 unofficial test matches against the England Lions earlier this summer. I thought he was really good. I did the commentary for that second test match at Northamptonshire, and I thought he was fantastic. He's got a really good first-class record. He's got 72 first-class wickets in his career at less than 18s in India, where apparently bowling seam isn't really the way to go. So watch this space for Anshul Kamboj. I was quite surprised that he wasn't actually considered for that original test squad in the first place, looking at those numbers and then having watched him in the flesh in that unofficial test match. And the last thing as well is, does Kuldeep Yadav play? Left arm wrist spinner. I know it would turn the same way then for Jadeja, wouldn't he? Which potentially doesn't provide as much threat as what it does. But Old Trafford's meant to be the ground that spins for England, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But it's supposed to be the one that gives the spinners a bit of turn. The pitches tend to be pretty flat. The games tend to go the distance. We've seen that in the County Championship this year. We've had some third innings, fourth day results come through at Manchester, or some pretty high scoring draws at the end of 5 or 4 days. So could they do that? Could they play him? Would they play Washington Sundar, who then obviously extends the batting lineup? And then potentially with the injuries with regards to the seamers, who I've just mentioned, with Akashdeep and Arshdeep Singh and then Nitesh Kumar Reddy, does Shardul Thakur come back into that test squad, having just played that first test at Headingley and not gone particularly well? Let me know how you think India are going to line up. I quite like Anshul Kamboj. I'd quite like to see him play. England. How did England go? Well, we know what their 11 is. I've kind of forgotten it, but I'm going to try and recite it because I'm that good. It's going to be Crawley and Duckett, Pope, Root, Brooks, Stokes, Smith. Done. Brilliant. Happy days. Liam Dawson comes into the test squad for the first time since 2017. We'll talk more about him in a minute. Chris Woakes keeps his place, which may have been a surprise to some people, as does Jofra Archer and Bryden Cast to round out the 11. But we're going to talk about Liam Dawson first. He is the change, isn't it? He's in for Shoaib Bashir. Bashir broke his hand at Lords and has now been ruled out for the remainder of the series. So Liam Dawson has 2 test matches to impress in an England shirt. My big question really, and I can't quite convince myself what the answer is, but what does Liam Dawson need to do in order to not just have Shoaib Bashir walk straight back into that 11 when Shoaib Bashir's fit again? That, I think, is the bit that kind of confuses me the most on that one. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We don't know. If he scores test match hundreds, if he takes fifers, does that then mean Shoaib Bashir's place is kind of a bit at risk for the Ashes going forward? I'm not sure. I'm genuinely not sure. As I said, he played his last test match in 2017 at Trent Bridge against South Africa. He's got 1 test 50, 7 test wickets at an average of 42. So not exactly the most stunning return from the 3 test matches that Liam Dawson has played so far. Since 2018 though, in first-class cricket, let's have a look at those numbers. He's taken 202 first-class wickets for Hampshire, scored 4,500 first-class runs as well, 10 first-class hundreds, 3 10-wicket matches, I think about 15 first-class fifers as well in that period of time. He's a genuine all-round cricketer, slides in at number 8. He bats, I think, 6 this year for Hampshire, but has batted as high as 4 and 5. Specifically at Old Trafford, though, he's taken 13 wickets in his first-class career at an average of less than 18, which, as I say, is the ground that is supposed to meant to turn if you are an English cricketer. With the selection in mind, I did wonder whether it would have allowed England to have rotated Chris Woakes out of the 11, who's been pretty under par, hasn't he, in those 3 test matches that he's played so far this summer. Does it also allow England to not rely on Chris Woakes to balance the 11 when they go to Australia? I think they're 2 very, very good options. Chris Woakes does keep his place. He's taken 7 wickets in 3 test matches at an average of 56.5. And that's not very good, is it? And I can only assume, and I think I have read the fact that they're not 100% convinced that Gus Atkinson is fully fit yet. He's going off to play for Surrey's second 11, I think, with a hamstring injury or something like that. Jofra Archer keeps his place, 5 wickets at Lords in his test return. He was quoted in the press afterwards saying, well, I'll play the final 3 test matches if England will let me. And they're certainly going to let him play the 4th one. Does he play the 5th one? I mean, who knows what they decide to do with him. I'd like to see him managed nicely, I think. I don't want to see him flogged again. The top 7 are obviously locked in, and there is a little bit of discourse now and conversation with regards to Zach Crawley and Ollie Pope. I don't really know how those 2 players are banded in the same conversation right now. Ollie Pope has scored a Test 100 in this series, and he's doing okay at number 3. He scored 186 runs at 31. Zach Crawley, 128 runs at 21s. I don't know whether it's because Jacob Bethel exists. I don't know whether it's because people think that Zach Crawley is undroppable. Not 100% sure, but there we go. There's my preview for the 4th Test up at Manchester. Let me know who you think is going to win. Please subscribe to the channel, drop me a like on the video. And finally as well, if you have watched all this way through, I'm going to assume that you are kind of absolute OG fans of this content. So I just want to say thank you for the support that you've given over the last 2.5 years. I realise it's been incredibly tough for myself personally and for a lot of other people. But look, thank you so much for the support. I really do appreciate it. And I look forward to the future, and I look forward to more content. I look forward to bringing you more things on this channel in the recent future, I guess. See you later.